Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Grow Roots, and this is Shannon. Welcome to my September 2023 garden tour. You are going to see that the front yard looks pretty different now. In September, after this last month that we had, which was the second hottest August that our area, DFW, Texas, has ever seen, we had the thing that made this past August the worst and this past summer the worst for us was it wasn't just that we were getting 100-degree temperatures consistent many days in a row, but we were getting 105 plus degree temperatures for many days. And I think it's the second hottest summer. I think we tied also for the most days above 105. Either that or it was the most days above 105 that we've ever had here. And so this garden really kind of struggled a little bit. And now finally we have had maybe a week and a half of some absolutely fantastic temperatures. We've been in the 80s this week. The lows have been in the 60s. Today is no exception. Today's high is 85, and I think our low was 69 earlier this morning. And it's overcast, and we are just absolutely loving it, and I know the plants are loving it too. And so here I'm going to start off where I usually do. Lambo, our little garden sheep, is here, and he is in a different spot because I have pulled out all of my zinnias that were right here. Zinnias, Thumbelina zinnias that were grown from seed this past winter. I transplanted them into the front garden in the spring, thinking that they would be this amazing low-growing zinnia. I'll post some pictures up on the screen so you can see. They were not low-growing. They were not the best border flower. They grew to 3 feet tall and huge and kind of flopped over the grass right here. And then when the warm when August hit, especially late August, they got fungus and started turning brown. They weren't looking very good. They were completely overgrown, and I was debating what to do, whether I wanted to pull them before this garden tour or just film the garden tour and pull them afterwards. I came in this morning to clean them up, and lo and behold, they were way worse than I ever expected. They were full of aphids, and I'm going to show you that video now. Okay, so I'll be ripping these zinnias out. This is just a pre-tour so you could see what they look like end of season. I was debating on pulling these out. However, I was cleaning these up this morning and realized they are just infested with fungus and aphids. And I'll show you down here. Once you get underneath, you can just see there's aphids everywhere. So I'm definitely just going to be pulling these out. I may have some beautiful zinnia bouquets, but they are coming out. And bye-bye, zinnias. You were so beautiful for so long. Thank you for your beauty. But it's time to go. Okay, so now you've seen why I took those zinnias out, and look at the transformation. Wow. There still were flowers on there, and that's why I was like, oh, it's still a flower. I'm just going to keep it. No, they needed to come out. It looks so much better. And now you can see what was growing behind them, and I'll take you through. So let's start. Okay, I'm going to start here in this side of the front garden. Later on, I'm going to move back to my containers back here. We'll see those later, but right now let's start here. So here you've got my mums perennialized they've been in my garden for about 3 years now, and I think it's time to take it out. I'm going to let it's full of blooms right now, and I'm going to let it bloom for the fall, and then I think I'm going to take it out, and here is why. they just, when they grow this much, they get really leggy. And there's tons of new growth under here because it has gotten leggy and kind of fallen over. And it's not like this amazing mound right now because it's so leggy. And that's what happens when you don't trim them enough or when they get too old. And I've trimmed this plant a few times this summer, but it's still doing this, and they're not looking their best like they have in previous years. So you can see, here we go, we have a few blooms actually, I didn't notice. And then yeah, there are some dead areas because it struggled in the heat, but it's bouncing back like crazy and it's full of blooms. So I'm gonna keep it here, and then next year I'm gonna put something else in this mum's place. Behind the mum and all the way across the back, you're gonna see May-night salvia. We have a few blooms here and there. Look at that. But really, May-night salvia, it's show stopping in early to mid-spring, maybe even late spring. And then I cut it all the way back, and we get some blooms here and there. It did give me a second flush of blooms that was pretty good. And then now, like very sporadically through late summer, it just gives me a few blooms here and there, but it survived the summer. It's, you know, there are some parts that are yellow and browning and things like that, but it's done pretty well. So coming up here in front, I have my Gomphrena and Rudbeckia that are just growing into each other. It's fantastic. I had planted this is Salmon Pastel Gomphrena, grown from seed from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds, and I planted 4 of these actually, 4 plants, like starting over there, like underneath here, and then this one, where is this one? This one is the last one on this side. It actually is the only one that took, and then now it's crazy, but look how beautiful these are. I do have a video on Gomphrena that I have grown in pots in my backyard as well. So it does amazing in the landscape. It does amazing in containers. It's just a superstar. Here in the front, it looks a lot better than in my container. Through the heat, like really kind of fried my container ones. But this one in the front, maybe because it was sheltered by all of the zinnias that were right here, it's done really, really well. My Rudbeckia is also, this is the last one standing. I grew many, many Rudbeckia from seed, and this is the only one that completely survived all through the summer. For some reason, for me, it just struggles. And actually, I don't know how much of this is aphids and how much of it is dirt, because I just pulled up all the zinnias that were growing into it. But, you know, it's end of season. It's not, the foliage is not looking its best, but it is still giving me flowers, and they are absolutely beautiful, especially with those truffle pink or salmon pastel Gomphrena. So I'm absolutely loving that we can actually see these now that the zinnias are gone. We've got Lambo standing tall. My bird bath there. Here is my daylily. It was like a early to mid-spring blooming daylily. Beautiful coral pink color, but it's here. It was swallowed by the zinnias that were here, so I'm shocked that it's actually still alive. But yeah, that's the daylily. This Vitex tree that is right over here has completely swallowed this portion of the garden, which for me used to be kind of full sun, and now it's definitely a filtered shade environment. So that's been interesting. The zinnias kind of all died that were planted right here, and we're gonna figure something out with this. This Vitex tree is vigorous. It's going to get huge, I get that. But we are wanting it to be more of an upright tree rather than like the canopy going as horizontal as it's going. So I'm gonna let this go for now, but in the future, for sure, I think late winter, I might cut off this branch that's going over the grass this way. And then I think I'm gonna cut off this one, which that's the one that's bringing the canopy over this area as well. I do want to keep this main branch, which is perfect. It's going straight up, and then it goes into 3 branches, and I think that's good. So that's my plan. Coming under the Vitex tree, this is my Burgundy Glow Ajuga. These variegated leaves are just spectacular. And then I think with the heat, it's kind of lost its like burgundy type of foliage. I'm interested to see what it does in the fall. But it has really grown big. You can see there's my irrigation. I want to pull this up actually and get that. There we go. I really am impressed with the growth. I've planted, this was one large Burgundy Glow Ajuga that I split into 3 plants, 1, 2, and 3, and I put them right in this little swoop front garden area, and they're doing fantastic. This is my hosta, which I haven't, you know, it survived. It survived the heat. Can you believe the hosta survived the heat? And it is in complete shade, filtered shade, all day long. And that's why I cut off the burnt tips of these 2 leaves. And I think I lost a couple of leaves. So it hasn't grown tremendously, but it is still alive. So there's the hosta. And then I also have variegated Vinca major. That's what this ground cover is. And it's like I'm kind of training some of these guys to go that way. But I planted them all, I dotted them all throughout here under the Vitex tree, and they have just taken off. They're amazing. And I really love, I think they go well together, the Burgundy Glow Ajuga and the variegated Vinca, and they both should be blooming purple blooms as well in the spring. So I'm excited to see their first spring in the ground. Back here behind my Vitex tree, you will see my endless summer hydrangea. And it has done well. It has survived the heat. It's even pushing off new blooms right now. Look at that. And then these are the older blooms that are starting to age, but they're still so beautiful. I'm keeping them on. And I can't believe how well it has survived. This hydrangea actually does get some sun in later afternoon. And you'll see the effect, but I can't believe it's just still... It's amazing. Now you can see, this is the part that probably gets a little bit of late afternoon sun. So we've got some burned leaves. We've got some burn spots, no doubt, but it's giving me new growth. Oh, there's a little lizard. He scared me. And a knoll. It's just massive, and it has survived the heat. And then planted underneath, again, is that variegated Vinca major. So coming back around... Here we go. The Sunshine Ligustrum, just rock star. It's a rock star shrub. I have not trimmed these. I'm debating on trimming them. I don't want to give them a big trim right now. I don't want them to be putting on a whole lot of new growth. I want it to start going dormant, getting ready for winter. So I'm not going to put on a whole... Yeah, I'm debating. I think it'll do fine. It's such a rock star plant. But I'll say too, it survived this heat like a champ. Didn't even skip a beat. It was still growing with new growth in the 105-degree-plus heat. So if you're looking for a heat-tolerant shrub that will give you color, that is evergreen, that is disease-resistant, and another thing that it's completely resistant to, you know, shrubs can get tangled up by wild vines, and I do have that problem. Let me show you this. Oh my goodness. This vine that grows in my front garden bed and my side, it's just so vigorous. And I just got done cleaning this up, but the vines were completely choking out all of these shrubs here. I took those out, most of them. I left a little bit so I could show you, but a lot of shrubs cannot take being choked out by a vine. This shrub can take it, and it is fine. So Sunshine Ligustrum, super strong plant, just absolutely love it. You just need to give it some sun. It absolutely needs sun. I see a lot of people growing it in the shade, and it will also grow in the shade, y'all, but it will not thrive in the shade, and it will not be this beautiful yellow color either. It will not be thick, and it will just be kind of like bleh. You know, it's there but not spectacular. In the sun, it is spectacular, and it is so tolerant of absolutely everything you can throw at it. So yeah, so there is that front garden. Let me move on to my containers out here. Coming down here, this is Storm Cloud Verbena. and it has not given me blooms for months. Verbena, a lot of people are saying that the verbena has done really well in the heat. My verbena, this is the only one I have, it has not enjoyed the heat at all. It won't bloom for me. It, a lot of that growth in there, it's all dead. So I don't know. I may try it in the landscape next year, and if that doesn't work either, then I'm going to be done with at least storm cloud verbena. I may try some other varieties from Proven Winners, or like there's a purple verbena that I think maybe even is perennial if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to try some different varieties, but this is my first chance with verbena. So far, not super impressed, but I am impressed with this pink bandana lantana. It's amazing. It's grown so big that now it's getting sort of floppy, so this part has flopped a little bit. There's a hole, and there's getting a new hole there just because it's grown so large and so prolific. The blooms, I mean, it's full of blooms right now, and then it's getting ready to give me more blooms all over the place. These are all over the plant. It's just, oh my goodness. I hope that I can get this guy to come back. They're marginal here. Lantana, I've seen some people that have been able to bring them back, and I hope this plant comes back for me next year, because I just love it so much. It's one of my favorites for sure. It handled the 105-degree heat like a champ. Actually, it loved it, so it's amazing. Okay, so here is my Limelight tree standard. Okay, if you are in DFW area like I am, and you have grown Limelight hydrangeas, I'll bet you have a story to tell with this summer that is unlike no other. I did a video on Limelights early before I realized this summer was going to be as hot as it was, and I will tell you that the Limelights really struggled. This one I have been able to keep alive. It's been a rock star for me, but you can see that it completely defoliated. The blooms are completely sunburned. I'm going to keep them on because I think they're kind of cool for the fall. So I'm keeping them, and then you can see that it's just growing all new leaves and stems all throughout. It's telling me I'm still alive. But you can see even here, like, let me see if I could get it to focus. It started to grow blooms right there in the middle of this defoliation, and it was telling me I'm trying. And actually, right there, it's trying to grow blooms again. So we'll see. That's kind of funky. That's a bloom stalk right there. It's so funny, but it's alive. It's doing okay. I'm just leaving it alone. The lantana is starting to swallow it up, so it's coming back into this pot, and then the vinca. I had Supertunia Lovey-Dovey from Proven Winners planted here, and that was a superstar for like spring and early summer until it got too hot, and the Supertunia Lovey-Dovey was not loving that at all. It was not lovey-dovey towards the sun, or the heat, I should say. However, the vinca, which was super slow to get started, once the heat kicked in, the vinca kicked in. And now the vinca is kind of taking over the undercarriage of the Limelight. So I think that's really fun. So again, vinca, super heat tolerant, actually loves it, and is thriving. One more thing I have going on down here, actually it reminds me I need to water this guy. I found a little lime hydrangea at Callaway's, and this was just about a month ago. Here it is. And it was $9.98 for this huge thing, and the reason is because it was struggling and starting to defoliate, and you can see that it has all new growth. These blooms, like this one's not even sunburned. It's doing exactly what the little lime is famous for doing. It just turns green there. And so I put it here in a mostly shade spot because I knew that it was struggling, and I knew that it needed a little bit of, relief from the heat and the sun. And so I placed it there. It's doing fantastic. I may end up putting that in a spot in my backyard where I believe my big Limelight, my established Limelight in my backyard is quite potentially mostly dead. So I may just take that out and put the little lime back there, and it only cost me $9.98. I'm so excited about that. So coming back here, I have some of my patio containers, my porch containers, and this one is coleus, and it's grown huge. And I've been trying to cut it back. I've taken a bunch of cuttings, which I'm gonna try to overwinter this. Look, okay, this is what I mean. Everybody's like, don't let it create blooms. Don't let it get... I just went back here 2 days ago and got all of the bloom heads off, and it's still trying to bloom for me. So if you're not out here every day with this plant, it's gonna bloom. And I'm not gonna be out here every day. So here we go. But just been loving this coleus. It is vigorous in its growth, a little bit leggy as far as coleus goes, but been loving it. And then I've got Swedish ivy coming out the bottom of that. That's doing really well. Right over here is my Big Daddy hydrangea. So you can see that it has done really well. It is massive. Hi Maya, bye Maya. And yeah, so these are the aging blooms, which I'm letting them age. You're gonna see they're gonna start turning this amazing magenta color. This one is starting to do that. See that pink? It was all green and now it's turning pink. This is a new bloom, so in the heat of August, it's putting out new blooms for me. It's done really well. I'm a little bit concerned about this. This one, just this one. Oh, maybe a little tiny bit back there. Okay, this isn't chlorosis like I would expect. This looks like spider mite damage, but there's no signs of spider mites. Like, this is a clean plant. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I may just actually trim this off. It's actually forming buds for me. So this is not the time to trim an endless summer hydrangea, to prune it, because you could see it's starting to form its buds for next year, I think. So we may just take those leaves off and defoliate that branch. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but the rest of it is looking great. You can see these under here are that magenta E color. Look at this, how pretty. It's just gonna get deeper and deeper as we go through the fall. So that's super fun. I've got my hostas down here. I'm keeping them here for now. This one's doing the best. I got these for $1 each at Callaway's when they were completely crisped up. But if you know hostas, you know that they do this if they're heat stressed or sun stressed, and they just do that. But you just cut it off and it will grow, and it's doing just fine. This one's doing the best. This one is the Ellerbroic. I hope I'm saying that right, hosta. And I do have plans to transplant these back into containers in my backyard. It's not gonna happen quite yet. But the rest of these, you know, I cut off the burned tips, and there's new growth right down there. And then, yeah, this one is the Woolala, is it? No, this is the Shadowland Diamond Lake. New growth. Ooh, lots of new growth, actually. And then this one is the Woolala. Shadowland Woolala from Proven Winners. And again, it's crispy. I cut that off. Down here, we've got new growth. So, yeah. Oh, look, that's a new one. Yeah, that came out in the heat because of that, but it's got more starting right there too. So they're doing very, very well, and they'll go into the backyard eventually. Here is so interesting. This was my variegated hydrangea, and it completely defoliated these front stems that it gets morning sun. And these front stems that were getting morning sun, they were saying, no way, Jose, we are done. You can see that's one of the best of them. I took all of the brown leaves off because it's growing new stems and leaves at every node. Every node is growing new stems and leaves. So there we go. It's just, it kind of looks funky right now. I get that, but it's what happens after we have the kind of summer that we just had. But I still love it. And look at this. When we took out all of the burned leaves, look, isn't that beautiful? These white, almost pure white leaves. It's absolutely beautiful. I just love this plant, even though I haven't seen it bloom yet. For the foliage alone, I absolutely love it. And then here's another coleus container. This purple coleus is just the star of the show. And again, y'all, I just came in here and took all of the blooms off 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And here we go with new blooms all over the place. This is what I'm saying. Like, I just can't keep up with the vigor of it. I just can't. But it's gorgeous and I love it. And I'm going to overwinter it and put it back in the landscape or containers next spring. It's pretty awesome. Coming back, here's my house plants. So I've got this Tradescantia zebrina. This one, okay, this is my philodendron heartleaf. And yeah, it got some sunburn. It does get morning sun. So, but we've got the new growth that's not so bad. This one right here too. So it's doing okay. This Monstera adonsinii, I hope I said that right, is doing really good. It gets morning sun and it does really well with it. Here's my pothos, golden pothos. So loving those. Here's one of my monsteras. I took cuttings of this huge monstera earlier in the spring. You can see my video of how to root monstera cuttings, but I cut off a lot of these. This is morning sun location as well, so it did get burned, but I cut them off, and here's one of the newer leaves. It's fantastic. And then here's my other monstera that does not get any sun at all. However, this is so interesting. Look at this. This is the newest leaf, and actually when it was, so I have an Alexa Echo Dot, yes, an Alexa Echo Dot plugged in back here. We can listen to music, and it also controls, like we have it set to lock the front door. We just say, Alexa, lock the front door. See, she's turning blue. She's listening. We also have a...
Didn't quite catch that.
Okay, no problem. It's okay. Alexa, cancel. But anyway, this new growth was this new leaf was actually on top of the Alexa Echo Dot. And just, I guess it's heat from the electronics, or maybe whatever is going on with the electronics, burned the sides of the leaves, y'all. That's so interesting. This plant doesn't get sun, so it wasn't the sun. It was every part that was touching the Echo Dot was getting burned. So, but it's a beautiful leaf. I just cut the burned parts off. But it's gorgeous. I've got my Zebrina Tradescantia again. I've got another golden pothos. I've got an aloe. So there's my front porch planters. Ooh, I kind of skimmed over this when I did the coleus, but this one that's facing the sun, this coleus with that red coming into fall. Ooh, I love this view. It's gorgeous. The bright chartreuse with the red of the coleus, and then, you know, kind of the brown of the burnt limelight flower. Just awesome. Okay, so coming over here, here is the side, little tiny side garden to the house, and it's looking pretty. It's looking so much better. Where to start? Okay, I'm going to start down here at the mums. Again, there's perennialized mums down here. They're 3 years old. My husband really wants to take them out now. I want them to bloom. They're full of buds. They're going to be blooming here pretty soon, but you could see they've gotten so leggy and flopping over, especially since I added this 3-tier planter here in the center of them, you know. But it is what it is. We're going to wait till the fall, then probably take them out and put something else in its place. Down below here, what was planted under here has died, and then I purchased these. This is more Burgundy Glow Ajuga. It's probably going to go into a new garden bed in my backyard. But there's some burgundy in there, and they're just gorgeous. They're actually still in the pots. I put them down there because I know it's shaded, as well as that Purple Heart, Wandering Jew Purple Heart, I'm pretty sure is what it's called, Tradescantia. It's doing really well under there as well. And I had a cutting. Actually, this fell off of one of my Tradescantia zebrinas, so I just popped it in there. I did not put it in water. It did not have roots. I just popped it in there, and it's doing fantastic. So how fun. And then this is my Supertunia persimmon. that was looking so bad in August, and the flowers were like scorched and the foliage was scorched, and I was gonna pull it, but I could tell it was still alive. And now that we've had this week, it is greening up and giving me all this new growth. See, this is what it was looking like all over the place in August, and now I debated on just completely cutting it back, but now that it's growing for me, I think it's gonna cover all of these icky parts, I think, and so I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not gonna do anything. Here is the lemon super bells. I am debating on taking this plant out though. It's not putting on the growth that the Super Tunia persimmon is putting on now that we're cooler, and I can't sit here and take out all of these brown areas. So I'm not sure. I think I will pull that, but even more Super Tunia persimmon for this one plant, but it's coming over there. And then this is new for this month. I put my balloon flower in here because everything died on top here in this August heat. So now I had this in a container in my backyard. You might remember it if you've seen my backyard tour. It's grown from seed, balloon flower from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds, and it's done awesome in the heat. It's giving me tons, just completely reblooming, and I just, I cut off the blooms as they die, and it just keeps on reblooming for me, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I think it's perfect there. And there was no transplant shock whatsoever, so I'm so happy with that. The other thing that is fantastic is my espalier is actually coming to fruition with 2 jasmine plants that are still in pots down here. I've tried growing purple bellvine here. It died. I tried growing ivy there, like English ivy there. It died. It's just too much sun. And the jasmine is what has done the trick. So I've got, a fishing line actually in here with little hooks. See those hooks that are holding the fishing line, and that is what the jasmine is climbing on, and it's doing fantastic. I love it. I hope I'm able to get to the top. I might not by the end of the season, but that's okay. I think it's beautiful. Then coming back around, this is the last part of the garden. No, there's one more part to show you. I always forget the 2 front containers, but here's my boxwoods, and I'm going to trim these into a conical shape here pretty soon, getting ready for Christmas and our Christmas decorations coming out. I had planted alliums in the fall last year right here in between each boxwood, and those never came up. They were purple sensation allium. I really would love to see allium planted here again. I'd love to see them come up in the spring. I did purchase some tulip bulbs that are chilling right now. I'm thinking about potentially putting tulips in there, but I don't know if this gets enough sun for them. So anyway, the boxwoods have survived. They have done fantastic. They're doing great. Lots of new growth, and I just love them. All right, so last part of my garden tour that I wanted to show you are my 2 containers that were planted up in mid-spring around, it was my Mother's Day present actually, and one is doing amazing and the other is just okay, and I'm not sure why. So here we go, and I think this looks so cool for fall too. So this is, let's see, Luscious Royale Pina Colada Lantana, I think it's called, from Proven Winners. Wow, it took a long time to start going, and now it's going with this heat, and it's giving tons of new blooms again, just like my pink bandana lantana. It has survived the heat. It has done amazing. I've also got red vinca on each side of it, again doing absolutely fantastic. And then I have 2 blue evolvulus plants. So this one is Blew My Mind. No, wait. Blue Days. I'm sorry. This is Blue Days evolvulus. I have not seen them bloom for me in months. Not since late spring, early summer. it was a beautiful blue bloom that looked awesome with the yellow and the white and the red, but it is what it is. It has not bloomed for me since, but it sure has survived, and it's done really, really well. And I love how it's kind of coming up and framing the lantana there. And I've got the Proven Winners blue evolvulus over here that is not as vigorous as the Blue Days at all, and again hasn't flowered for me in a couple months, but beautiful container, doing awesome. And then there's this one, which none of the plants are really super thriving in this container, so it's starting, everything is the same. It's the same potting soil, it's the same fertilizer, it's the same plants, it's the same lighting conditions, for heaven's sakes. Like, I don't get it. I don't think this one gets as much water as this one, and I think that might be the culprit, potentially. So, but anyway, again, this is Blew My Mind evolvulus from Proven Winners. Lots of new growth. I hope to see some buds in the fall. Red Vinca, Blue Days evolvulus, and then Luscious Royale Pina Colada Lantana that has not flowered for me in about a month, but now that it's cooler, I do see some buds. It is budding up, so I think this will be in bloom while we head into fall. But it's just, you know, you can see this Vinca is a little bit heat stressed. I just don't understand really the difference between that one and that one, but it's okay. It is what it is. That's gardening sometimes, right? And shout out to my husband, Dave. This grass has held up and has done amazing. He's done so well taking care of it. It's just absolutely beautiful. But we do have armadillos that are starting to attack this area over here. So you can see these little spots right here. These little holes is because these armadillos are coming in and burying their noses, trying to get grubs. We treated it. Actually, this area has been treated twice with beneficial nematodes to try and get rid of any grubs that the armadillos might be going after. And they just came back again last night. So we are a little bit frustrated with that. But it's still looking spectacular. And again, we're coming towards the end of the season. This grass will be just fine. It'll come back and be amazing in the spring. It's just everything's just a little tired, and we're getting, you know, pests and things like that, and that's just kind of end of season woes. But yeah, okay. That concludes my September 2023 garden tour, the aftermath of one of the hottest months DFW has ever seen, with 105 plus degree temperatures most days. And I am proud of my garden. I still think it's looking spectacular. It's not what I envisioned for September. It is, you know, that's gardening. Things happen, and we can't control weather. We can't control pests sometimes as much as we try. And so things just happen, and things don't always turn out as you imagine them, but we keep going, we pick up, we deal with it, and I'm really proud of the result. I do think I'm so proud of my garden and what it has taken, what it has been beaten down from, and it's still going, and it's still absolutely beautiful. I thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye, everyone.